That's alright for you. That's alright, no mama. Any way you do, but that's alright.
This year's winner of the Iris Prize. Congratulations.
Wow, that's quite overwhelming.
Head to our website, then click on Festival. This is where you'll find and watch all of this year's films.
Hello, welcome to the Iris Podcast.
This year we're all about Best of British.
And welcome to opening night of the 14th Iris Prize LGBT Plus Film Festival.
For nearly 2 decades, Emmanuel Anyamosigwe's obsession with diversity has won the hearts and minds of filmmakers and audiences alike. His blueprint for how minorities should be represented has stood the test of time, long before the penny dropped for other institutions far and wide that diversity truly matters. This year, as Buff marks its 15th anniversary, the more things change, the more things stay the same. Never has diversity been more relevant than in 2020. And as long as the issue remains in the public eye, Emmanuel has ensured that for creatives everywhere, the British Urban Film Festival is a broad church that welcomes all creeds and all colours, comfortable in its own skin, and bold in its approach to storytelling and showcasing film as seen through the social and cultural lens. From BFM to Buckingham Palace, it's been quite a journey for the man who literally bet the house on making Buff the success that it is today.
Cool. So, welcome guys to British Urban Film Festival Q&A on the back of watching you guys' films. Welcome. How's everyone doing?
Good, thanks. Yeah.
Good, yeah,
Yeah.
doing good, thank you.
Good. So, yes, this is our Q&A. So we're going to just ask some questions, but before that, I'd like you guys to introduce yourself and let me know the title of your film. On my screen, Kadeem, you're on the left, so we can start with you, Kadeem.
All right, okay, cool. So yeah, my name's Kadeem and Whyte. I wrote and directed South Beast. It's the last episode of a 10-part web series, and it's the longest episode. So essentially, it's the climax of everything that's happened prior. So should any of you guys be interested, it is on YouTube, available to stream. So do go check that out. But yeah, it's ultimately the climax of everything that's happened so far. Our main character is faced with a dilemma that she has to face. She has to learn some new truths about what's happening around the people who are closest to her. And, she's coming out of a situation where she's been vulnerable a lot, and she's averted crises and been a part of a lot of problems in herself. So she's kind of waiting for the cool down. Now there's this whole new eruption that's happening and things are thrown out of the mix again. So yeah, it was great to put together. It's probably one of my favorite episodes, best scenes, and yeah, we managed to get a nomination out of it, so it's great.
And just a quick question, I'll ask the same question to everyone else as well. How did you come to direct this film, Kadeem?
So it's a project that I had written a few years ago. It took about 2.5 years to write. I had the pleasure of working with my cousin and a very close friend, Benita, Rochelle Brady, and Sasha Cunningham. And essentially what happened was the project was originally just a short piece. It was just a page, and it was a suicide note, and the note was for someone who was in a situation where they felt like they had no escape, but they really wanted to express themselves. So regardless as to whether they went through with it or they didn't, this was how they felt in that moment. And it was based on someone who was very close to me at the time and was enduring a particular situation. So I approached them with it, and they liked what I'd come up with, and they expressed their thoughts. Obviously, it's a fictional piece, so it's not based on anyone's real feelings and stuff. But yeah, she really liked it, and I went and I spoke to Sasha and Benita, and I said, I've written this, and I think it'd be great as a short, but I feel like it could be something more. So we sat down, we wrote, put the project together. And when it came to it, I only wanted to kind of do the editing. I never really wanted to do the directing, but both my colleagues thought that there was no one better to put it together. So I just went for it. There was a lot of planning, like all of that, getting people together, figuring out what shots you're gonna shoot, and ticking stuff off, making sure that everything's done. So it was a process, but yeah, I just literally just went for it. Yeah, and it worked out.
Cool, thanks for that, Kadeem. Shakira.
Yeah, hi everyone, my name is Shakira Francis, and I am the writer-director of The Lost Land Girl, essentially a period drama based in 1944, and it's about two Black British sisters who join the Women's Land Army, essentially fighting to do their duty. It's just a bit how that evolves and what that means to them, and their experiences on that farm, essentially.
And how did you come to direct this piece?
This piece has, I guess, been a long time in the making. I went to drama school and I graduated 2015, and I had an idea. What we were allowed to do essentially for our last assignment was you can make a short film. And one of my ideas was actually to think about doing something in regards to the nurses during the war, because a lot of my family members are nurses, and sort of an ode to my heritage of Caribbean heritage. I wanted to do something in relation to that. And eventually my idea didn't get picked to do, which is fine. And it kind of developed, and in 2017 I was selected for Creative English Short Flicks program, and I got to develop it a little bit further over 2 days with professional help. And then I kind of started really developing it after that, because they gave me so much information and so much help to really develop that story as a whole. And I met my producer Addy over Twitter, funnily enough, and she lived in the same area as me, which was fantastic. And she read it and she was like, yes, we have to make this. So we applied to the BFI for funding, and we got it, thankfully, and which was just such a blessing. And yeah, from there we're just like, okay, we're doing this. This is what we're going to do. We're going to make it, and we made it. And it really is a piece so close to my heart, because essentially it is a love letter to all the West Indian men and women who fought during both wars and just haven't been recognized. And that's what I wanted it to be. That it was the piece I wanted to create.
Thanks for that, Shakira. Phillippe, yes, please tell me about you and your film.
So, hey guys. So my name is Phillippe Audi-Dor, and I directed the short film called Ruby Red. So Ruby Red it takes place at a house party. It's getting quite late, and one guy and one young woman end up in a bedroom, basically. And the way the story unfolds is that she tries to coax him into for him to reveal basically his sexual fantasy to her. And as things go along, he eventually does reveal his innermost secret desires, and then her reaction is not necessarily what he was expecting, and then drama unfolds. That's basically Ruby Red.
And how did you come to direct this film?
I studied directing in a drama school, actually. So linked to drama there. So I did that for a bit, and then I worked for quite a few years as an assistant director, and then different jobs. And I hadn't directed in quite a while, and I was just like, hey, I need to start directing it again, otherwise I'll just never get back into the directing chair. So I was like, just sat down. I love to write, so I just like, I'll just write this small piece, and that's how it came about. And what was really nice about it is that I was able to contact all of the crew I had worked with over the years, usually as an assistant director or set photographer, whatever I was doing. And then for this project, I could just really get everyone I had met over the years and shoot this short film all together. So it was just such a nice experience, both for me to get back into directing and telling a story I really cared about, because I'm interesting. The story for me talks about masculinity and what we're kind of able to explore and what still feels a bit off limits. So from that point of view, and then just from a filmmaking point of view, it was just great to get all of these people you've met over the years and together over 2 long nights just shoot something. So that was, yeah, it was a really nice way of getting back into directing.
Thanks for that, Phillippe. Mike, please introduce yourself. Tell me about your film.
Hello, my name is Mike Brown. I'm the screenwriter of Thousand Nights of Sun. Thousand Nights of Sun is a short film about a young father named Jeremy who struggles to provide for his family. On the night of his son's 10th birthday, Jeremy's desire to provide a better life for his family lands him in a predicament that would change him forever.
And how did you come about writing this particular film?
Well, in the summer of 2019, I was writing and came across a Langston Hughes poem as I grew older, and that really inspired me. I intended to make a film that promoted the humanity or revealed the humanity and complexity of a Black man who had been traumatized by police. So I wrote several drafts of the script and brought it to my producing team, Margie Merritt and Ilya Katsap and Darius Monroe, and they and they liked it and invested in the project. And from there, I teamed up with Justin T. Davis, a cinematographer, a gaffer turned cinematographer, and that was the beginning of the film, beginning of the makings of the film.
Cool. So we've got a little introduction to you guys and your films. So I'm going to just start asking you questions. I think I'm going to pick on you instead of going in order. So let me know, what was the most challenging part of, or the process of making this movie for you? And this question goes to Shakira.
Oh my goodness. So I don't know why, but I wrote all my scenes outside except for one. There was one indoor scene in England. How does that make sense? So obviously it has to be the English weather. That was the most challenging part of the entire thing. It rained completely for the first day. So we shot it over 3 days, and it just rained completely. And thankfully, I mean, there are some shots in there that are actually where it's just film pelting down. I don't know if you're able to notice it or not, but it was so challenging to get all the scenes done and think that, oh my gosh, we've only got a set amount of time to do this. And the first day was completely washed out. But then the other 2 days was complete sunshine. So it was just, pros and cons, but definitely managing that kind of to make sure it all matches well, because obviously it's very jarring to see something, that was supposed to happening in the same day or the same time, to have one scene that's completely rained out and then the next scene completely sunny and sunshine. So trying to get that continuity was probably the biggest challenge of the entire shoot. But I think we did well. I mean, I'll let you guys decide for yourselves if it worked out well.
Was it a challenge casting actors who spoke French? I think it was French. Spoke French, or did they have to learn the lines in French, etc.?
So the language is a Creole, so it's St. Lucian Creole, so which is kind of essentially a broken French, I guess you could call it. It was a challenge finding, because it's so specific to St. Lucia, and there's like 250,000 people on St. Lucia. It's a small island, so finding people or actors that spoke Creole was quite difficult. So I did end up casting people who didn't speak Creole and they had to learn it. But my family helped out with that. So and they really did do well with it. I think it did come off very, very naturally to me anyway.
Cool, thanks, Shakira. Same question to Phillippe. What was the most challenging process of making your film?
So like opposite to Shakira, I was like, I don't want to be outside and dependent on the weather at all. So I was like, okay, this will be easy. I'll shoot all of this in one same location, in one room. And well, basically the same problem was continuity, because we didn't have, so, I was like, oh, it's easy, we'll control everything. But because of the amount of time we had, and we were filming on 16mm, so we couldn't shoot, so it's essentially like one long scene, and we couldn't shoot it chronologically. So you end up kind of filming the scene, like going from, it's still dependent on the camera, basically, on the positions of the camera. So you're going from like, okay, this is a like really intense moment, and then cut, and then we're going back to it, like they're all laughing at this point, and then as the days goes on, like at the end of the second day, you're like, is this gonna match to what I filmed like 48 hours ago? And you're just like, that was just basically continuity wise. It was really, I think, yeah, I mean, it was challenging, and that's what I was the most scared of. I was like, what if I'm dragging everyone through all of this and I get to the editing room and none of it matches together? Because also you'll see there's like a lot of lighting change, like the light changes a lot throughout. And so, yeah, having that, changing the lighting setups, but then making sure that they would work when it came to editing, I was terrified. So, but I think it worked out in the end. But that was a challenge. Basically, I hadn't anticipated how difficult that would be also. So I think that's why I was just most like so surprised by it. But it worked out. So, but I will never write again like a 7-minute film that happens in one same space. It's never happen again.
So it's funny that when I was watching your film, actually, you mentioned the lights, and I was quite impressed with how you made it look like this kind of like a dreamscape world. So I was wondering if you could just talk through that process. What made you like have the idea, or what made you have the idea to do that, and how did you achieve it?
So at first, the idea came. Well, I knew I wanted to find some way of making this like the film starts out and it feels, even though it's a party, like it feels fairly grounded in reality. And then I kind of wanted to play with this feeling of like, are we, like, where are we? Like, is this like fantasy? Is this real? But not for it not to be too obvious. And I thought lighting would be a great way to go about kind of creating this very everything becomes very stylized because of the lighting, but it's grounded in a very realistic. It's just a bedroom, you know. So I was like, okay, this could be a cool way of doing it. And I'm slightly obsessed with like these LED lights that go in different colors. So I just had them in my bedroom, and you can put them on this rotation thing where they just like change colors. And I was just like, as you're writing, I was like, ooh, this would be crazy to do. So at first I wanted it to be like constantly changing. And then it came to the realities of shooting. And I was like, this is going to be a nightmare. So I decided to kind of break down the scene. Depending on what's happening emotionally, you would have a different kind of lighting that would kind of coat the scene during that emotion. And then find the moments of transitions where we would change the light. And then it was just a lot of planning. And we had like different technical difficulties doing that. So we were supposed to be able to like gradually change it in a like nice subtle way, and then that couldn't work. So we'd have like some people like hiding the light bulbs like of one color, others then, and we'd have them like, as the actors were acting, they would have to like slide this out, hide this one, so there's a color change. I mean, I don't think you notice any of it hopefully when you're watching the film, but it was this whole massive process. And then you're just like, was this really a good idea? Was this worth it? When I was in my bedroom, and I was like, well, this would be insane, right? And I was like, oh my God, this is actually insane to make. But we got there. I have a really great director of photography, Pablo Rojo, and he was awesome. So this all goes to him.
Cool, thanks, Phillippe. Kadeem, same question. What was the most challenging part of the process of making this your episode?
Editing was the most challenging. Took the longest amount of time. It took 3 months to put the whole series together. And I know the episode that was submitted took at least 3 or 4 weeks. The biggest problem with editing that I found more so came from the fact that I'd hired someone for sound, and the sound that we got back, half of it was like blank. So I had to do a lot of like rework with the default audio that we got, which, as you can tell on camera, is never ever going to be great. So a lot of mixing. It just made the process the more longer. But there was a blessing in that as well, because you get to see how you can rework certain elements, and just watching your own project come together. As painful as it was to do, like, it was beautiful to watch and see transpire. So yeah.
So you submitted the finale of South Beast, which is episode 10, and I was wondering, like, because when writers, when they're creating episodes, or directors as well, how do you manage to hold back the big reveal? Because I think I can imagine myself, if I was writing, by episode 2 everyone dies, it's just like, how do you make sure that you're like, no, I gotta save it, and I gotta save that. And then also I can imagine trying to think of ways to drop in hints of ways to kind of go, there's where the story arc goes. So was that a difficult process, or did you find it quite...
I think for anyone that would be a challenge, because you know what it is that you're creating, and you know what you want people to see, but it's literally just picking when to put the cut-offs in and when to put the reveals in. Most times in a series, you'll get like a reveal come in either in the middle of that episode or towards the end. if it's at the end, it will act as a cliffhanger, take you into the next episode or season finale. If it's in the middle, then you're giving the audience a chance to take in new information. Once that's been put in, you're just planning for the next one. Do you know what I'm saying? So yeah, it would be a challenge for anyone, but thankfully I didn't have to write by myself. So I had Sasha, I had Benita, and when you have a team like that where you can bounce ideas off, maybe on more occasions than one, like I was a bit like, nah, that's not a good idea. When it's your own, you probably do that naturally. But yeah, had a great team. I asked a lot of people for their advice as well. I had Laura Marinello. She was someone who observed the script, proofread everything, and she would feedback and stuff as well. So yeah, I just kind of worked together with everyone and kind of just figured it out. Yeah, and I think we did all right this time around.
Yeah, you guys did, man. Thanks, Kadeem. Mike, so similar to Phillippe, I actually had the privilege of watching your film first because it was in my crop of films to go through. And as you imagine, there was like hundreds and hundreds of submissions. So we all split them up. But I was, a similar question to you, well, same question actually. What was the most challenging part of making your film and the process of it?
Well, we were working within some budget constraints. I largely funded the film from family and friends. And I think the most challenging part was securing locations. We had within our budget constraints. We had the apartment came fairly easy, but the garage and the restaurant was we had a bit of challenge securing those locations. Our first choice locations seemed like they had came through. We had some word of mouth commitments, but at the last minute they were canceled. So I do recommend, which I learned again, it was reinforced to get any location agreements in writing. And so once my producing team worked very hard, Margie and Rich, to find replacements at the last minute. So that it all worked out.
I was going to ask you as well. So towards the end, there's a moment where he's trying to get back to the restaurant, and he comes across a police who were trying to stop him. Did you have a how do you say, like an idea to kind of investigate that route more, as in like making that a bigger part? Or because I feel like it was a bit of a decision made, which I thought was a good decision actually, to kind of go, and on top of all this, boom, that's another issue. But were you tempted to kind of go down that route as well?
Well, I knew that there was going to be a thread in the film, and I largely wanted the film to be about him with his family and showing the different emotions and showing the spectrum of emotions and the life that he lived before he encountered the police, just so he could show that he was a human being. But I knew that the police encounter would be a thread in the film, and I wanted to make it realistic as possible, but not traumatize the audience, because we see that so much in mainstream media that I'll try to not make it in a way where the audience would be where the audience would be basically traumatized, but they would get the point. And so that's was my thinking in that portrayal. And I really wanted him to reunite with his family at the end, because a lot of times we normalize trauma, and and so it's just a small conversation starter for these type of stories.
Cool, thanks, Mike. Next question. What scene are you most proud of? This question goes to Phillippe.
I think the one I'm probably the most proud of is there's a moment where he he eventually, the character says what's his fantasy, and then she helps him achieve it. I don't know how to say it. Anyway, you'll see. But basically, it was shot it was one long shot, which and then we intersliced it with just a few extreme close-ups, and I think that's I decided to cut all sound out of that moment, so it's complete silence, and it's those moments when you're envisioning it, you're like, I think this could really work, hopefully, but because it's going to be in one go, you're hoping that it's going to be fun with the actors and the camera's going to work and the silence. And I was like, if this doesn't work out, it's the film is just not gonna it's just gonna be a flop. And now when I watch it as a director, I'm always, I don't know about you guys, but for me, everything, I'm criticizing it again and again. I'm like, well, I should have done this. But that moment, I'm like, no, actually, it's still emotionally, it still really resonates with me. I feel it works. I feel that silence just really pulls you in rather than just kind of creates a distance with the audience. At least for me, it really, I kind of want to be even closer to the screen. So, yeah, I'm really happy with that moment. I feel it worked. So you'll tell me what you guys think once you've seen it, but hopefully you like it too.
Thanks, Phillippe. Same question to Shakira.
I think my favorite scene has to be the only indoor scene. Not because it was the easiest to shoot, but simply because that indoor scene, we shot it sort of over the shoulder, but we were in a reflection in a mirror. So that scene really represents just a moment of decision and calm. And I think throughout the film, all the other scenes, there's a lot going on under the surface, and this scene is really just a moment of reflection. And I like that it's the pause in the film. That's, I guess, what I would like to call it. It's just the pause in the film that happens, and I really like that because it gives the audience just, I guess, a moment to comprehend everything that's just happened, and to see kind of the effects of what's happened as well, in that particular moment.
Thank you, Shakira. Kadeem?
Best scene, I think. So there's a moments after our main character gets shot, and the killer is fleeing the scene, and there's a bit of a chase going on. And that was actually reworked by the actors. The first time we shot it in daytime, for scheduling reasons. But when it came out, I was pretty happy with it, but they were quite adamant about, it feeling different, like the night that we were shooting. And it was the one night that we had, I'd say about 80% of the cast, all together. So, and it was a whole party and vibe scene, and it was fun. So, yeah, I was just like, you know what, if you guys really want to do it, this is your project as much as mine. Let's run with it. And it gave me a chance to kind of re-envision the scene as well. I like the way it came out to the part where she gets away, the killer, and I'm actually the person in the driver's seat. So it was kind of cool. But yeah, that's my favorite scene.
Cool. Thanks, Kadeem. I hope you put your name in the credits as well, man. Mike, yes, same question to you, Mike. What's the scene that you're most proud of on your film?
The scene that I'm most proud of in Thousand Nights of Sun has to be the kitchen scene where the father is and his girlfriend have an emotion-filled and heartfelt conversation, and that's juxtaposed with the son who's playing in the light of the projector. So I feel like that scene resonates with me the most because of their conversation and because of the imagery. And we shot it handheld, and I thought that that was a good technique to really bring the audience into the emotion of the scene.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that as well. Yes. So next question. If you had unlimited budget, what would your next film project be? If you had an unlimited budget, what would your next film project be? I'm gonna go straight back to Mike actually.
Okay, great. Well, my next project, I would like to make a feature script. I wrote a short film, another short film, but I would like to make a feature script. And I've been working on this treatment for this feature called Agony and Ecstasy. And it's about a Southern evangelist in from North Carolina who that goes to NYC to find her long lost godson to bring him back to North Carolina before his stepfather, before his father dies, his sick father dies. And she discovers when she's in New York, looking for him, looking for her godson, that her godson is a sex worker. And so it's kind of a clash of beliefs, and an unlikely friendship evolves between the two. And this film was inspired by Taxi Driver. So that's I would like for that. If I had an unlimited budget, I would like to pursue that film, Agony and Ecstasy.
Phillippe. Yeah, Phillippe. If you had an unlimited budget, what would your next film project be?
So it would also be to make a feature. This year, I'm following a screenwriting type of course at a film school called La Fémis in France, and you get to write, like to develop the writing of a feature film. So I'm nearing the end of the writing of the script, and it would be nice to think that with the money I could actually just go straight into production. So so that's what it would be, and the story again kind of looks at men and kind of desires that they have and what feels sometimes forbidden, or what they want to do, who you think you should be, who you want to be. It seems to be a recurring theme that that I have. So that's what I would do with it. Fingers crossed. Right?
Of course. Thank you, Phillippe. Same question to Kadeem. If you had an unlimited budget, what would be your next film project?
I'm a massive lover of like psychological thrillers. But I mean, if I've got unlimited budget, just make another black superhero movie. Why not? Like something cool, something fun. Yeah, 'cause I feel like sometimes when you make stuff that's like, even though it's a niche that you're into or genre that you're into, like there's a lot that can come with that sometimes. And I think sometimes it's nice to just switch it up. So yeah, I'd want to do like something fun, like a superhero film or like an animated movie or something. Yeah.
And thanks, Kadeem. And Shakira, to you as well. If you had an unlimited budget, what would be your next film project?
I absolutely love sci-fi. Anything sci-fi I'm there. So it would have to be in that genre. I was actually got it all figured out in my head. It would be like a cross between Blade Runner, Star Trek, and Black Panther. And it would be about a royal family that live in a matriarchal society and like a planet far, far away. And they have to figure out how to stop a coup because the opposition wants to instill the first ever king on that planet.
Yeah, I can see it. That's dope. Yeah, I'm a massive sci-fi fan myself. In case you care. Right, that's cool. Yeah, everyone had that question. Cool. What I would like is for you, if you just let me know all your social media handles, just so people can find you after watching the film on Apple TV app as well. That would be awesome. So I'll just go left to right. So Kadeem, Shakira, Phillippe, and Mike. just let us know what your social media handles are and how we can find you.
I think the more important one is just like the Bad Raccoon Media one. So it's Bad Raccoon, 2 C's, 2 O's Media, on YouTube, on Instagram, on Facebook. Yeah.
Does that happen to be the jumper that you're wearing as well? Or?
Yeah. I got a rep, man. I got a rep.
Shakira.
Yep, so you can find me personally on Twitter only. So it's at whoisshaq_. Shaq is with a Q. And on sort of Insta, Facebook, and Twitter as well, you can follow the Basement Bunch. That is a film collective that I'm working with. Film led, and we want to create stories for our community. So yeah, give us a follow.
Phillippe?
Yeah, mine is fairly simple. On Twitter, it's my name, so at Phillippe Audi-Dor. And on Instagram, it's at Phil Audi-Dor. And on Facebook, also there's a page under my name.
Hi. So on Instagram, I'm Mike Brown Film, all one word. And on Twitter, Mike_Brown 100. So I would love more followers. Thank you.
Cool. Thank you guys, all of you especially, and also thank you for all the people who've been watching the Buff 2020 Filmmaker Program Q&A. You can watch all these films right now on Apple TV app. If you want a direct link, please visit the website, which is www.britishurbanfestival.co.uk, and you can follow all the action and socials using the hashtag Buff2020. Yeah, that's it.
Thanks.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, and great to meet everyone. Hopefully one day in the flesh. But...
yeah, hopefully, fingers crossed. I look forward to watching all your films too as well. It's so nice to hear kind of thoughts behind them as well. So when you see them, it just makes them even extra special as well.
Yeah.